Want to be able to make $100 a day without doing anything? That sounds great. I watched this video that popped up from Graham that is one of the most viewed videos when it comes to passive income, and it drives me insane. Every time I see it, it just grinds my gears to a certain level because while on paper it's possible to make $100 a day with dividends, it's just so unrealistic. Passive income has become this buzzword that gets used by everyone in the financial education space as this thing of, oh yeah, you don't really have to do anything and all this money will start pouring in. You can be sitting on a beach. Fantastic. My problem with passive income is that it's not passive at all. The way that this works, I'll just show you. If you want to make $100 a day, how much money is it going to take to be able to do that reliably? $10,000? $100,000? No, it's actually more than $1 million. You need a portfolio of $1.2 million with a 3% dividend yield to be making $100 a day. And that is so unrealistic, especially in this video. Graham talks about the dividends are great because if you're under a certain income level, it can be taxed at the 0% tax rate. Sounds fantastic. The problem is the cutoff for that is under $45,000, and for people to try to make $100 a day with a $1.2 million portfolio, they're not going to be in that tax bracket. So I wanted to talk about some of the problems that I have with these types of videos because it is possible to make money using dividends. That's why I've been using the Dividend Snowball. I'll link that video up above right now. But dividends should be viewed as a tool, not as a goal. Whenever I see people talking about, oh, I want to get to this certain amount of dividend income per month or per year, I kind of cringe a little bit because I think we need to change the way that we view dividends to be much more healthy for the long term instead of having dividends just be the goal. Dividends are a fantastic tool. I've talked about how it gives you so much flexibility when it comes to investing your money. You can use this money to reinvest back into your portfolio. That's what the Dividend Snowball method is all about. It's the idea of supercharging your investment portfolio by putting that money back into the overall market. You can use it to pay bills. You can use it to make it for your normal expenses. You have so much flexibility with it. The problem is that people view dividends as this way of bringing in passive income to do whatever you want instead of just something that is a side piece of investing as a whole. When I look at the way that social media talks about dividends and passive income, I see it in such an unhealthy way. It makes the dollar amount the goal, and it makes it so that when people are talking about how much money they're bringing in, you're comparing your dividend income to how much money they're talking about, and you think, oh man, I really need to bump this up. And this could lead to some problems of either you invest in dividend stocks that are going to be paying too high of a yield, or it could be a dividend trap. A dividend trap is a stock that pays a ridiculously high dividend that becomes so attractive just based off of the yield aspect that when you look at it for the long run, the stock price has gone down and in actuality, you're losing money overall. The stock price has not gone up in value. That's why we try to find this sweet spot. In my mind, that's between 2 and around 3.5% dividend yield with stocks that have also outperformed the overall market without that dividend income. So we're looking for very specific stocks. And if you're looking to try to boost your dividend income as high as possible, you may come into some difficult times where you buy into a stock that is not going to go up in value and it's actually going to go down. That's going to put you in a very difficult spot to be able to build that passive income that you're talking about. If your underlying stock is going down, that dividend is going to be going down as well. The way I view dividends, I think, is the healthiest way to do it. It's a tool to allow you to build your portfolio rapidly. It's not something where I'm using it to try to reach a certain level. My savings rate is the thing I should be focused on exclusively. That's the only target that I should look at when it comes to the dollars that are going in and out of my portfolio. The dividends are just something additional. I don't even kind of look to see how much it's going to be for the next 12 months because it really doesn't matter. These are stocks that are going to hopefully go up in value over time. While the stock market is down, it gives you the ability to buy them at a lower price. Or if the stock market's going up, it just continues to add to your position. And as the stock price goes up, that dividend you're going to be getting is going to increase, and that value is going to go up as well if the stock price climbs. The problem I have is that you're never going to be satisfied if you're just focusing on the dollar amount that you're going to be bringing in. If you went up to me like 5 years ago when I was in college and said, oh yeah, you'd be out of college making $45,000 a year, I'd be like, sweet, jackpot. That's kind of the average that I was expecting based off of my education level and the major and career field that I was a part of. So I'd be like, yeah, that's fantastic. But now when you're in the moment, you see that number and you're looking at your friends around you that you know are making more money, or coworkers that you feel are on similar levels to you making more money, and you always are going to want to increase that. You want the certain level of raises per year. And that's kind of the same way that I feel happens with dividends. You're going to get to a point where if the goal is to make $100 a day, what happens when you get to that level? Are you going to be satisfied and be like, nice, I reached my goal, that's perfect? I don't think so. I think you're just going to continue to move the goalpost and you're never really going to be satisfied with the number that it's bringing in. You're always going to want to have that number increase, and you're never going to be satisfied with the amount of dividend yield that you're bringing in. So how can we improve this? Because I've talked a lot about some of the negativity associated with this video about, the dollar amount is not what you're supposed to be focusing on. So how can we fix this? This kind of goes along to another process that I'm in right now. I am training for a half marathon. And there's different ways that you can view this. You can view this as, oh, I want to run a half marathon. The problem is once you get towards that goal and either you complete it or you don't, you're either going to be at a point where you don't have anything set up for the future, or you're going to be in a spot where you're very disappointed because you did not reach your goal. So instead of trying to frame it as my goal is to run a half marathon, my goal is to become a lifelong runner. This is something that is going to continuously go on, and no matter what I do and what results I see, I'm going to be satisfied with whatever I do. So this means that whenever I go out for a run and my goal is to run 7 miles and I only run 6 miles because my legs were hurting, I'm okay with that because I'm not focused on one singular goal. It's the idea of enjoying running and doing it for the long term. So when we go back to investing, it's the difference of trying to have a goal of reaching 10% returns a year instead of viewing yourself as an investor. A lifelong investor that buys the dip and is consistent with their investment strategy is a much healthier way of viewing it. So I look at myself as a dividend investor. This is something where I am consistently investing into the market and into the stocks that I love, and I'm not focused on the dividend yield itself. It's just a tool and a type of strategy that I'm using to build wealth for the long term. So no matter what happens if the stock market goes down, I'm the same person. I still have the same goals of being a dividend investor than I was before. Instead of being disappointed when the stock market goes down, I am going further away from my overall goals. So I think this is a much healthier way of framing your goals, is by having the habits that you're trying to reach be the goal instead of having it be just a set in stone number. Does $100 a day really mean anything? No, it doesn't at all. It's not going to change your life overnight, but it's the idea of having this nice round number that people view as a goal to reach, so that once you reach that goal, it's just going to continue to change. So I implore you to try to change your mindset from, instead of focusing on singular goals, whether it be dollar amounts or percentages, change it to something that is a long-term goal. It's the idea of I'm saving up to buy a house. I am becoming a long-term investor. I'm becoming a dividend investor, something that is a sense of being of who you are instead of just focusing on the dollar amounts, because we're here for the long term, and as the stock market goes down and continues to kind of hit lower lows, we have to make sure that we're viewing this in the long-term aspect instead of getting down on ourselves when we look at our year to date of 2022 and you're looking at your stock market returns and you're going, ooh, that's pretty tough. And you could get discouraged. We're trying to encourage ourselves by being long-term investors, so we're not worried about one singular year as the stock market goes down. We're focused on the long terms. A common place that I see this kind of misunderstood is on Wall Street bets. For someone like myself that loves watching investing behavior, this is a fascinating place to go because while most people are losing money, that's kind of how buying options goes, there are some people that are making incredible returns, like lifelong goals. People are never going to reach us in their life again, where they're taking $1,000 and getting a 1,000% return on it in 4 days. And instead of just being happy with this incredible return, they set these unrealistic goals that have nothing to do with their goals when they went into it. I'm sure if you went to someone and said, hey, you're going to make 1,000% return on this, they'd be pretty happy with it, and then they'd sell. The problem is they get to that point and they see this arbitrary level. Today we're talking about it as being $100 a day when it comes to dividends, but it's someone that's making 150% return on an option that's 1 day until expiration, but they just want to see it get to 200%. And then what happens? They lose a lot of their gains and they should have just taken their profits. Or you see someone that's made $700,000 and they just want to see it hit $1 million because it's a nice even number. And then the stock price goes down and they lose all of those gains. It's the idea of setting these arbitrary goals that are so unnecessary and really hinder you in the long term because you're so focused on something that really doesn't matter. Instead of just taking your gains, taking your dividends, and reinvesting them back into your portfolio, you might go out of your way to try to take a more risky dividend approach, and that's going to hurt you in the long term. So overall, whenever I see these videos talking about passive income, the first thing I think is passive income is not passive. You're either going to have to work your butt off to get that money to have it work for you, or you're going to have to set up something with a lot of work and effort at the beginning, whether it be setting up a website, a YouTube channel. I think I've made a video talking about why YouTube is not passive income. You have to work so hard to get this going, and then once you get it going, if you don't regularly post, it's going to die away. And that's what's happened to my channel for the past year, and I'm trying to work to get that back. But passive income is not passive. If you're trying to reach a goal and it's a dollar amount or a percentage, I think that's pretty unhealthy, and I think you should try to frame it in a way that is more focused on the long term of becoming a consistent investor or becoming a dividend investor, something that is a sense of being of who you are and isn't going to be impacted if the stock market is up or down. It's just something that you look at yourself in the mirror and you go, I'm a long-term investor. This is kind of how it goes sometimes. So my name is Andy. This was kind of a rant on some of the YouTube videos I've been seeing recently doing research for potential video ideas, and I'm curious what your thoughts are about the passive income craze that is taking over YouTube and social media. My name is Andy. If you want to see other videos from me, I will have them up on screen right now. And if you want to subscribe to me, I know like 90% of the people who watch my videos are not subscribed, and I'm trying to reach 10,000 subscribers, so I'd really appreciate if you would help me out doing that. My name is Andy. I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.